Welcome back to another video on the years at West Point. In this video, we're going to be talking about Yuk Year. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and like the videos. It's wash day. Gotta wash it. Tucker comes home tomorrow, I gotta wash it, I gotta style it, I gotta pluck my eyebrows. Because Tucker comes home tomorrow. He can't see me looking like a slob. So, on with the video. So he went back to school in August, obviously, for reorgy week, which is where they go back and they reorganize in their companies, and pretty much it just gets them ready for the academic year. Up until that point, that goodbye was the hardest goodbye we had said. After summer was over, it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, we have to go through that all over again, another school year. And then Tucker got to come home for Labor Day, but with this Labor Day, it was the opening football game. So it was at home, and they are required to go to football games. On Friday night before Labor Day, he was at the football game. We flew him home on Saturday. We got about half a day together that day, and then we got all day Sunday. And then of course he had to be back at West Point, so he flew out super early on Monday. So Columbus Day came around again the second weekend of October. Me and his family, we all went up to visit him, and we went to a place called Wilkins Fruit and Fur Farm, which we did go back this year, so I'm gonna leave that video up here. We also went hiking at this cool place. It had some like ruins of an old settlement building. If you can go up for Columbus Day, I would recommend it because it is beautiful and it's a perfect mid-semester pick you up to carry you through until Thanksgiving. After Columbus Day, we were trying to plan on when we were going to see each other again. Veterans Day was on a Monday that year. So they were going to have a 3-day weekend again. So we were planning to go up and see him, and different turn of events, different things happened, and that trip didn't end up happening, and I was so devastated. But it taught me to have a realistic expectations, realistic level of excitement, and not to put all your hopes and happiness into a trip, because sometimes they don't happen. Like West Point and life in general is just unpredictable. But 2 weeks later was Thanksgiving. So he did, of course, come home for Thanksgiving, and he got to come home a day early. Enjoy the small things. Those kind of things will power you and encourage you through your West Point journey. They do end up being the big things. So next came the Army-Navy game. After Thanksgiving, the Army-Navy game is typically 2 weeks after. And we had an extra ticket, and one of the guys in Tucker's company, his girlfriend was looking for one, so we sold our extra ticket to her. And we went up to Philadelphia again for the game. And this year, instead of it being super cold, snowy, it was raining and it wasn't as cold. So you don't know what kind of weather you're gonna have. The Army-Navy game is a really super awesome experience that you won't regret going. So after the Army-Navy game, like the next weekend, Tucker comes home for Christmas. We went down to Destin, Florida with my family for Christmas, and that's the same trip that Tucker asked me to marry him. So he proposed on Christmas Eve of 2019 at the beach, on the beach. He set some pictures out on the beach. He said we were gonna go take pictures on the beach because it was Christmas Eve and my family got dressed and everything. And we went onto the beach, and someone ended up with my camera and they captured the whole thing. And of course I said yes, and here we are 2 years later. It's been a long engagement, but I'm definitely glad that he proposed when he did. So we just spent Christmas at the beach with my family. Then we came back and we spent the New Year's here with his family. So after the New Year, the cadets usually have to be back at West Point the first couple days after the New Year. So he went back to school. And somewhere between Christmas break and spring break, the cadets find out their summer training schedule, and we found out that Tucker was going to have to go to Fort Benning and go to airborne school. And so that was his summer training, and we were planning for that, planning when we were going to get to see each other, trying to think in advance. And then came MLK. Unlike plebe year, the Corps didn't get in trouble, so we did get to spend MLK together, and he came home, and we just spent the holiday here. And after MLK came Yearling Winter Weekend. Yearling Winter Weekend has been one of my favorite weekends, my favorite events at West Point. It was the first trip that I made up to West Point by myself, because Yearling Winter Weekend it's the first event that's just for dates. The cadets bring their dates, and usually there's a hop and a dinner. The hop got canceled that year. So we went there for dinner on Friday. The itinerary can be different per year, but that year everything was on Friday. So the day I got there was the same day as the dinner, the banquet, so everything was on that day. The next day, on Saturday, me and a couple of his friends and him, we all went to the city. That was my first time being in New York City, and we went skating at the Rockefeller Center. It's more like a touristy attraction, but it's the Breakfast at Tiffany's, and which I'm a huge fan of. We went for a walk in Central Park. We went to the Museum of Natural History, and then we went to an awesome Italian place. It was so, so good. I wish I could remember what it was called, but it was so good. And then, of course, we took the train back to the train station. I got some of the best cake in Grand Central Station, and that was our Saturday. And then Sunday rolled around, and Tucker borrowed his friend's car and took us to the airport. So Yearling Winter Weekend is a lot of fun. It's a good time to meet your cadets' friends and to meet other girlfriends. Then we came home, and then after that came President's Day, which he came home for. Then came spring break. So our spring break experience is very abnormal. You gotta keep in mind, at this point it was 2020, and it was March. So 2 days before Tucker was supposed to go back to school, he got an email telling him to stay home for 2 more weeks. And that was some of the best news. And then 2 weeks rolled around, and he got another email that said stay home for 2 more months. Then another email came through, and it just said stay indefinitely. So he stayed home from March until July. Oh, by the way, his airborne training got canceled. It was a predicament for the whole Corps, because there are graduation requirements that the cadets are supposed to get in their summers. And now you have 3 classes that aren't able to get their requirements, so they ended up waiving a couple things and doing some makeup trainings. So he didn't go to any summer trainings that year. He just went back to school. That is the most consecutive time that we have ever spent together in our relationship. During that time, they did their classes online. I was still in school at the time as well, so I would just be doing homework at his house, doing my classwork at his house, and we just did our schoolwork just together. And then in between classes, we would go outside, we would have lunch, just depending on how much time he had. And that was a very happy time in our relationships. And then July rolled around. Why am I getting emotional? So July rolled around, and we were not looking forward to the fact that he was going to have to go back to school. After getting so much time together and then having to say goodbye, and also the fact that things were still uncertain in the world, that goodbye was the most painful goodbye. Oh my gosh, I couldn't stand it. It hurt so much. I cried the hardest I have ever cried in my whole life that day. And we were just looking ahead at Cow Year, the 3rd year. After getting a super sweet comment by a girl who found my video on plebe year, I am just super motivated to get this video out there, to see if it can help anyone to understand the years at West Point, to give them hope, to give them something to relate to, because I'm still going through my West Point journey, and I've been there. I've been through Yuk Year, and if you have any questions on West Point, you can leave those down below, and I will get to them in my next video where I sit down and talk about West Point. Even if it's not related to a specific year at West Point, I can still do my best to answer your question. So your nice comments are appreciated, and they truly do mean the world to me. Up here, up here, up here, appear. So